Hello everyone and welcome to Dorm Improvement. I'm your host Joe Kubicki. Today I will be working with my good friend Sam Krueger. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Joe. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on. So today we are making a custom project for Sam. So Sam, tell me a little bit about what you need for your apartment.
Well, in my apartment, I have a lot of shoes right by my door, and it really gets cluttered, and I would like to organize it a little bit better.
All right, I think we've got a really cool project that will solve that problem for you. Here are the materials you will need for this project. 2 8-foot long 1x12s, 1 piece of 1x2, 1 4x2 sheet of plywood, and 1.5 inch long screws. Now for this project, we will need to use a circular saw for a lot of the cuts. And using this tool correctly is important. So let's go over a couple of the key features. So this saw has 2 adjustments. The first one is to adjust the blade depth, and that's right back here. And that tells us how much material we're going to cut through. So we want to set this to just about 1/4 inch to maybe 1/2 inch max below the depth of the material. The other adjustment is here on the front, which adjusts the bevel of the saw and that allows us to cut some angles here when we need to. Now, safety is definitely the most important thing for this saw. The biggest mistake that people make when using this saw is pulling up the guard when they start their cuts. If you set up the saw correctly, you don't need to do that, as the guard will automatically push itself back up and fall back down when the cut is done. If you leave the guard up through the entire cut and you have it in your hand, when the saw comes through, it might hit you in the leg. To demonstrate, we will have Sam cut this piece of scrap wood. Our first step will be to cut the 1x12s for the sides to 45 inches. We have already clamped the boards down and lined up the cut. To attach our guide board, we use finishing nails because they can be easily removed and will not get in the way of the saw like clamps would. Now we are ready to cut.
We have pre-cut all of the shelf pieces out of 1x12 and cut them 12 inches in length. Next, we will cut a 1x2 filler strip for the bottom to 12 inches.
So now we could start laying out all the pieces for this project. So our very bottom is going to be this little 1x2 filler, and that's going to act as a little bit of a kick plate down here at the bottom. So we're going to mark for that, and that's going to go on the front here. And so then our first shelf is going to sit right on top of that. And so we'll just set it up and mark it here. And we'll mark it on both sides here. And so this is going to give us a little bit of an angle. We want the shoes to not slide off of the shelf, and we want the shelf to have a little bit more character than just being a square, straight-on shelf. So we want to give them a little bit of an angle. So off of that, we're going to measure 9 inches up from this mark, and then on the back here for every shelf. So now we will continue to do this for both sides. We are going to put the marks on the inside and on the outside so that we know where to pilot drill our holes.
Now that we have the template laid out, we can attach the shelves to the sides using 1.5-inch screws and drilling a pilot hole for each one.
The next step is to measure, cut down the plywood for the back, and attach it with some screws. We will now use some of the excess plywood to create a flat shelf at the top. So Sam, what do you think of the shoe rack?
I really like it, Joe. I'm going to be able to probably stack more pairs of shoes in each rack because there's just more room for it and it just looks good. So I'm happy with it, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. We've really enjoyed having you. And we'd like to thank you for joining us on this episode of Dorm Improvement and hope you picked up some useful information on how to make a custom shoe rack. Be sure to check out dormimprovement.com for information on other projects and upcoming episodes. Until next time, I'm Joe Kubicki.
And I'm Sam Krueger.
And this is Dorm Improvement.